Be a man who dwells in your study, who reads ancient books, who cries out to God in prayer, so that on Sunday, when you go to the pulpit and open up your mouth, you have something to say to God's people. Not about a mere ethic or a morality, but about a person that is incomprehensible, full of glory, full of glory.
Last night I heard probably the greatest sermon I've ever heard, the most passionate, and that was at the Shepherds Conference here at Grace Community Church. Paul Washer spoke on 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 20 and 21, where Paul tells the Corinthians that we are ambassadors for Christ and that we plead with people to be reconciled to God. And then he talks about how Jesus, who knew no sin, was made sin for our sake. And so he talked a lot about the substitutionary atonement of Christ, and he did it in a way I guess I've never really heard before, bringing to life and helping us to understand and to feel the weight of that sin and how amazing and astounding that atonement really is, the fact that Christ took our place. And I just wanted to comment on it a little bit because it's a sermon I'm going to be thinking about for quite some time, and it's a sermon that I can definitely say impacted my life. And the amazing thing was that even as he was preaching, I could actually hear men begin to weep. And these are pastors. These are not unbelievers. I mean, there may have been some unbelievers there, but 3,000 men there, and you could hear a pin drop at times. And it literally brought grown men to tears. And why did it do that? I think there's a couple of reasons why his plea for having us to be ambassadors, for being real ambassadors, and his description and passionate explanation of what the substitutionary atonement really is, I think it brought to life something that for many of us, like for me, growing up in the church and then being in ministry, these are truths that we have become very used to. And we've become very used to in a theological sense of understanding them here and knowing the particulars of that theological position, you can say. But then to take that knowledge, or just that, oh yeah, I know what it says here, and to bring it into life and light it in a way that we feel it and that we see its just at least a little bit of its amazingness and stand in awe of it. I think that's something that very few of us do. And very few preachers, unfortunately, are able to expound God's word in a way to not only communicate the truth of what is written, but the impact of what is written. And I think that Paul Washer did a wonderful job of that last night. And as he spoke, there were times where he became very passionate. It reminded me a little bit of maybe what it would have been like to listen to George Whitefield speak. It was somebody who was on fire, was burning from within with a passion for God. And so I don't think that we always need to speak, with such great fire and passion. And I think that Paul Washer doesn't always speak like that. It depends on what he's speaking about. But in this instance, I think it was very appropriate, very impactful, and that sermon should be up on Shepherd Conference website here within a week or so. So if you didn't see it, I highly suggest that you do it. What a great impact it had on the lives of several thousand people just last night, including my own life. So if you listen to that sermon, I'd love to hear what you think about it. Love to hear your comments, your feedback. If you haven't listened to it, just hold on tight. I'll put a link in the description to the Shepherd Conference website, because that's where you're going to be able to watch or listen to that sermon when they publish it, which, like I said, is probably going to be a week from now or so.
Look at this man, Jesus, and what he did. our victor, our conqueror, our champion, did what none of us could do. Not the whole lot of us could do. And then when it says that he was tempted like us in all ways, oh brothers, think